Hi, it's John Kelly. In this module, we are going to discuss planning, or at least the requirements of Section 300. And there are many planning requirements in other sections, and I've discussed those in other modules. And as always, we want to be efficient and effective, follow professional standards, and document what we have done properly. One of the things that this section says, and this is an interesting and useful concept, that planning is a continual and iterative process. And it's not a discrete phase. That is, you don't start to do planning on one day and then finish it a couple of weeks later, never to return to it. It's something that in fact starts at the end of the prior audit and finishes at the end of the current audit. Now, that doesn't mean that you should not pause and think about planning, because if you leave all the planning to the very, very end of the audit, it means that you're going to probably have a lot of unhappy surprises at the end. So planning, commonsensically, more of it done sooner will help you have a smooth audit and stop surprises at the end. But one of the points that this section makes is that we have to watch for changes throughout the audit and be very, very sensitive to that. If something comes up that's unusual or we had not expected, it's going to be very important to respond to that in the audit. Planning is to be led by the partner, along with key members of the audit team and others as selected by the partner. In a very small audit, the partner might do all of the planning. In a larger audit, the partner and the manager might be the two key members responsible for doing planning. Preliminary planning activities are think about continuance, and some firms may decide that at the end of last year's audit, which is the time when you know most about whether or not you wish to continue to be involved with the client, you would do some work on continuance and think about it then. So it's the last thing, or one of the last things you do in the last audit, and that becomes a preliminary planning activity at the beginning of the new audit. The other thing to do is consider ethical requirements, things like independence, though again the partner may say, well, I'm relying on our firm policies which prevent anyone from owning shares in our clients, and so I don't have to give a lot of thought to that necessarily because I'm relying on overall firm policy. And finally, get an engagement letter, specify the terms of the engagement, and again in the module on engagement letters I talked about this, and it may be convenient that you get the engagement letter dated at the end of last audit, and that becomes the engagement letter for this year's audit. Planning activities establish the overall audit strategy, the scope, timing, and direction of the audit. Plan your risk assessment procedures. Plan the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures and any other procedures you're going to do, and that's probably all going to be documented in an audit program. Update it as needed, and plan supervision. And in the module on review notes, I observed that every review note is either a failure of planning or a failure of supervision. And then we are to document it. We are to document the strategy, the key decisions, the scope, the timing, and the conduct. The professional standards suggest that the audit plan can be documented in the form of audit programs and checklists. And then again, they point out that changes, which are very important, you would document the changes if there were any. So, thanks for listening.